There is one subject that when it's brought up in society, or when this issue is stated out in society, a lot of us don't like to engage into it, and we don't like for the fact that it's eventually going to happen to us. Yes, definitely I'm talking about death. So we feel so much about life that we don't want to die, and we actually feel like we want to be alive forever. So when we talk about surviving, or when we talk about survivor, we actually want to be alive forever. We want to survive forever. We want to, stay alive forever. So because survive just means to, continue to be alive, or to continue to live life. So when this topic is brought in society, we fear a lot. For sure, I fear death a lot. Whenever death is brought up in society, or whenever I hear of death, I fear a lot. So I remember clearly when I was 13 years or 14 years, I got into a kind of space whereby whenever I wake up early in the morning, what I actually be thinking about was just death, and it was very scary to me, because it wasn't just only for the thought, but the feeling was growing much deeper in me that I was going to die. And I began to question myself about so many things about death, and I struggle a lot in my inside thinking about this death issue and having this feeling of death. And it's very funny in a way, because as a 13 years old child, you need to just be thinking about how you can be able to read your books and be able to pass your exams. But for me, in that space, I was just put in a space of death, the thought and the feeling, and it was very scary. I was so much afraid, and I never wanted to close my eyes at night, because closing my eyes actually means I was going to not be able to wake up early in the morning again, or the next day again. So eventually, when the day comes, I wake up, I was so much happy with myself. But it's just the happiness go on for some time, and it fades away, because definitely I begin to think about death again. I begin to have this feeling of death again. So each and every individual in society, we fear death a lot. Whenever death is in place, it seems we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to hear of it. We don't want to be able to even smell it at all, because we have so much in us that we have not yet achieved, or we have so much in us that we want to achieve and we have not gotten yet to it, and we want to achieve this, or we want to get to all these things first before death actually comes in play for us. So death is something that we fear a lot in society. So after being afraid of death from the age of 13, and at that point I really didn't put it out to anybody, or I really didn't state it out to anybody, or open up on this conversation with anybody, because when I look at the people that were around me, I can see clearly that they can be able to give me these answers, or they can be able to give me the answers to what I was feeling in my inside and what was going on in my mind. So I kept it a secret to myself. So fast forward, growing up again, I got to a point whereby death came in again, and this time around, it wasn't just for the thought and the feeling. I have to face it myself. I have to face death myself, and it was very scary, because I remembered very well that I traveled to the village, and when I got to the village, my dad had this issue with my uncle about land, and when they were talking about it, my dad the land belongs actually to my dad, and he wanted to take this land away from my uncle, because he has been working on it for so long. So, and I got into it, and I interfered into this issue, and it became something different. So when it became something different, my uncle, got to a place whereby he had, this negative mindset about me, to eliminate me, to take me off, so that I can to be able to, interfere into this land issue again. So I was, sitting one day under this mango tree in one of our family house, and he came out from one of the houses, and he was passing by with one other uncle. So when they saw me sitting down there, they began to, have a conversation with me, and it was like this was the perfect place for him to be able to do whatever he wanted to do. And in that moment, I was still having an encounter with my soul. So I was seeing a lot of things, I was hearing a lot of things, and I was in a position that anything that was concerning spirituality, I was able to, get to see or get to know them. So when he was standing in front of me, that I was sitting down, he brought out this handkerchief that he used the handkerchief to clean his nostrils, his sweat, his ear, and every other part that you can think about that is dirty. And so after using it to clean all these parts, then he threw this handkerchief on me. And when he threw the handkerchief on me, I could feel it that there was something negative that he was putting inside me. But I was so much, stubborn in such a way that I didn't want to stand up, or I didn't want to push the thing away. And so I sat there, and he did whatever he wanted to do with the other ankle. And these were family members, so he did everything that he wanted to do. And when he was done, he took the handkerchief and he left. So when he finished doing whatever he wanted to do, nothing really happened that day. And I told my dad about it, but he never did anything about it. So some few days later, I woke up early in the morning, and I spent some time in the house, and it was around 10 to 11, and I wanted to take breakfast. So I had to go and get some bread or granules to take this breakfast. So when I went to get these granules, I saw him over there, and we talked for some time. He pretended as if he never knew anything was going on. But after getting the granules, when I walked out, I felt this much of a huge headache inside me. The headache was so much, painful, that I have never felt such a headache in my life before. But I didn't critically pay attention to it, so I just said, okay, maybe it's one of those things. So I went to the house, took my breakfast, and I took my bath. Then I said, let me sleep, let me lie down for a while. After lying down for some time, when I woke up, then I began to feel this stomach ache, and it just started as a normal stomach ache, but eventually the stomach ache grew, and it became so much painful. It became so much painful that I couldn't bear the pains any longer. I was, lying down in the sun, roaming in the floor, doing all manner of things, because the pain was so much for me. I have never felt this kind of, stomach ache ever in my life again. So when I was lying down on the floor and everything was happening to me, then I heard a voice very far away in my mind telling me that there was something negative inside me, and for me to be able to survive or to continue living, I need to be able to push this thing out of me. And I was like, how can I be able to push this thing out of me? So I wanted to try, and immediately I wanted to try, I felt that every single cell, every single little atom or whatever it is that was in my body begin to vibrate, and I could feel this vibration all over my body. Whenever I hold anything, I could see that no, the vibration was so much that I can feel every single little atom or whatever you can think about in my body vibrating. And I was in a state of a spiritual battle. I had to force myself. I have to fight harder to be able to survive, to be able to continue living again. And I tried so many times to push this thing out, and it wasn't going out of me. And on until successfully I was able to push it down. And after pushing it down, because whatever that was killing me or was trying to take my life away was actually in the stomach. So when I was able to push it down, then I went out to vomit for 2 times. After vomiting, I began to feel relief, and this relief got me for some days. And after that, the pain exceeded again, and it was very much painful. And after pushing this thing out, I realized that I have been able to consume everything that was inside me, and so I couldn't do anything again. And the physical body was weak. I had to go to the hospital, go through this pain for so many days. And whenever excuse me to say, I go to the toilet, I can see very well that whatever was coming out of me was, very black. And, I see that these things were the, negative or the black magic that he has placed inside me. And that was to, take my life. And it was a wonderful experience, and I had to fight so much for my life there. I had to be able to, come back to life again. So after, experiencing this near-death experience, I was able to realize that actually death is an illusion, and death is actually going to come, but it's actually going to come for this physical body. And with the ability of the mind, we can be able to, overcome anything that comes our way, any death issue that we can be able to think about, or we can be able to, come across. Because whatever was happening right in there, I was able to use the ability of the mind, or the power of the mind, to be able to, with the help of my soul, to be able to, come against this negative energy. So death actually is going to come for all of us. We are not going to, live on this earth forever, but we can be able to live as long as we want with just the power of the mind, and know very well that death is the understanding that the physical flesh is going to get to rest. But for us to be able to live as long as we want, we can use the power of the mind to be able to put this physical flesh in alignment with the soul and the mind, to move into one accordance, to be able to know that I can live as long as I want. I can live forever, or I exist forever. Because when the physical flesh gets to rest, the soul journeys on. The soul is the real thing. The soul is the real you, not your physical flesh. Though the physical flesh, you have it now, you have to cherish it, you have to hold on to it very well. Because without this physical flesh, you can't be able to do anything on this earth. But when death comes, it's going to be this physical flesh going to rest, but the actual you, or the real you, which is the soul, is going to journey on. So our survivor is something that we cry for every day, and we yearn for every day. We fear it a lot, but when we begin to get in alignment with our soul and our mind, we can be able to realize that death actually is an illusion. It's actually just going to happen to the physical flesh, but we who are the real self, or who are the soul, we are going to go on forever and ever. So this was my experience with survivor, or to be able to survive, to be able to be alive for as long as I want, and to be able to do whatever I want to do, or achieve whatever I want to achieve. So don't be afraid of the concept of death, or don't be afraid of death, and be so much tight in a corner that whenever you hear about death, you think everything is coming to an end. I will encourage you to know very well that you live forever. You actually are living forever. You have been doing this forever. You have been living for eons. You have been living for decades, but you actually can know. So when you awaken your soul, you can be able to realize this thing, and be able to bypass the mindset of death, and live forever. Thank you.